Hey, what's up guys? Combat Critique here. In this video, I want to give my pick for this upcoming heavyweight fight between Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Jailton Almeida that has been scheduled for 5 rounds. Let's get started. If we look at the records of these two fighters, starting with Rozenstruik, he has 17 fights and he's won 13, lost 4. Out of his 13 wins, 12 have come via knockout and just one has gone the distance and only one win via decision. Out of the 4 losses, 2 have come via knockout and 2 have come via decision. So this man is a knockout machine. Like most guys at heavyweight, he has a lot of power. Now let's look at Jailton Almeida. So he has 20 fights, 18 wins and just 2 losses. Out of his 18 wins, 7 have come via knockout and 11 have come via submission. None of his wins have come via decision. This man is a finishing machine. If he wins, he'll likely knock you out or choke you out. Out of the 2 losses, he has 1 loss via knockout and 1 via decision. So this man has never been submitted as a pro. If we talk about the physical statistics and the career statistics of these two fighters, starting with the height, it is 6 feet 2 inches for Rozenstruik and 6 feet 3 inches for Almeida. So Almeida will have a slight 1 inch height advantage. Weight, so Rozenstruik is the heavier guy. Almeida, I'm expecting he will weigh in less than Rozenstruik. And if you talk about the reach, it is 78 inches for Rozenstruik and 79 inches for Almeida. So again, a slight 1 inch reach advantage to Almeida. Stance is orthodox for both these guys. And if you talk about the age, so Rozenstruik is the older fighter and Almeida is the younger fighter by about 3 years. Now let's talk about some of the career statistics, starting with the striking numbers. So first up, we have strikes landed per minute. This signifies the number of significant strikes that you land on your opponent per minute on average. This is 2.93, which is not really a lot for Rozenstruik, and it is 4.19 for Almeida. So Almeida is the busier striker. He will have an advantage here. Striking accuracy is 46% for Rozenstruik and it is 64% for Almeida. So Almeida has an advantage here as well. He is the more accurate striker. Strikes absorbed per minute. Now this signifies the number of significant strikes that you absorb from your opponent per minute on average. This is 3.23 for Rozenstruik and it is just 0.34 for Jailton Almeida. He has not absorbed a lot of strikes from his opponents in the UFC, and in this case the smaller number is better because you are getting hit lesser. So again, advantage goes to Almeida. Striking defense is 45% for Rozenstruik and it is 10% for Almeida. This is a slight cause of concern because 10% is really low and Rozenstruik will have an advantage here. Now let's talk about some of the wrestling, grappling and BJJ stats. So takedown average 0 for Rozenstruik. He has never taken down anybody in his UFC career so far. Whereas for Jailton it is 6.73, which is really high for a heavyweight. And he will have a huge advantage here. Takedown accuracy is 0%. He has never taken down anybody. And for Jailton it is 70%, which is good. He will have an advantage here as well. Takedown defense 75% for Rozenstruik and 50% for Almeida. So in this case, Rozenstruik will have an advantage. He has better takedown defense, it seems, from this start. Submission average is 0 for Rozenstruik. He has never attempted a submission in the UFC so far, and it is 2.2, which is really high for a heavyweight. And he will, Almeida will have a huge advantage in this case as well. Overall, I believe the height reach advantage goes to Almeida clearly, and the striking in the striking game, I think Almeida has an advantage if he avoids getting hit by Rozenstruik's power punches. And wrestling, grappling, BJJ numbers clearly show that Almeida is the better wrestler, the better BJJ guy out of these two fighters. Now let's look at some of the previous performances of these two guys, starting with Rozenstruik. In his last fight, he beat Chris Talkers via knockout punch in the first round. This fight happened in December of last year, so Rozenstruik is taking a almost 5 month break and coming back. And in before that, in his last two fights, he was defeated and he lost to Alexander Volkov via TKO. In the first round, he lost to Curtis Blades via decision, and before that, he beat Augusto Sakai via TKO. Again in the first round, lost to Cyril Gane, a unanimous decision, won against JDS via TKO in the second round, lost to Francis Ngannou via knockout in the first round. So this man is really in his fights since May of 2020. He is more or less one loss, one win, 50-50 coin toss. He might win the fight, he might lose the next fight, he might do not so good. So this man is having some problems in his UFC career recently. However, before this fight, he was on a tear. He was KOing people. He was undefeated. He finished Alistair Overeem via knockout in the fifth round. Andrei Arlovsky via knockout in the first round. Alan Crowder first round knockout. Junior Albini second round TKO. This one was undefeated. He is from a kickboxing background, and this shows in his stats. His wrestling and grappling is pretty much non-existent. Now let's talk about Jailton Almeida. So Jailton has an 18-2 record. In his last fight, he beat Shamil Abdurakhimov by TKO punches in the second round, and before that, he beat Anton Turkalij via submission rear naked choke. So this man can submit you. This was in the first round, and his last fight happened in January of this year. So a quick turnaround for Jailton. He's not taken a lot of damage in the UFC. And if we talk about the fight before, he beat Parker Porter via submission rear naked choke. Again, first round finish. And he beat Danilo Marquez via TKO punches. Again, first round. This was last year. So this man fought 3 times last year and fought already once in 2023. He is a pretty active heavyweight. Before that, he beat Nasruddinov via submission rear naked choke in the second round. He beat Eduardo, again submission rear naked choke. And before that, he beat another guy via submission arm triangle in the first round. This man does not have a lot of UFC experience. However, he has more tools in his arsenal. He is the younger fighter. He has the height and reach advantage. He is the better wrestler. And the only stats that really favor Rozenstruik is the stat of that striking defense. I think Jailton has 10%, whereas for Rozenstruik it is much better. So that can be a cause of concern if Jailton is not careful. However, I think because Jailton is the younger, fresher, more explosive guy, I am picking him to win this fight. I think he gets it done in the first round. I am picking him via knockout in the first round. That's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video.